Knife. Fork.
Mm-hmm. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Jay Smith, I see you saying that I was the reason that we
Reflect
were late.
the Sun was skeptical as well.
I will have you know that I was here at the actual time we were supposed to start. Whereas Matty said at the time that we were supposed to start, I'm making a coffee, then proceeded to show up 20 minutes later. And guess who came after that? The guy right next to him. Not this guy right next to him, the other guy right next to him.
Do you know why, though? I knew Griff would be late. So
I am
I
a
just factored
responsible
that into my
podcaster.
schedule.
Yeah, I am a responsible podcaster. I was here on time for you, the people. See, clearly the only one that actually cares about you guys is me.
Well, you guys know I'm all about accountability. I'll take responsibility. It was my fault.
Right.
It's my fault.
Right. I am the Brian Schottenheimer of this group, of this trio here.
Yeah. Old reliable. I'm like Russ. I'm a little off schedule. Still get it done, but in my own way.
Right. Matty, who are you? Matty is Mike Solari.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll take that. I mean, I don't know his politics. They could be slightly off, but other than that, I don't know. Mike spent a lot of time in California. I'm sure he's fine.
He's loosened up a little.
Hopefully.
So, chat, how are we tonight? How are we feeling after a big Seattle Seahawks victory? How are we feeling? And Matty,
Chat seems energetic. Preamble for life, says Jen. Love that, Jen.
Right. Matty, I believe you said before we went live that you have a topic for preamble tonight.
I have a preamble topic.
Okay, all right.
So I went out for a meal last night with 7 other people, and the table was split. I was on it was 9 other people. So there's 5 on one side, 4 on another, and then it's split in the middle, which is fine. That's an important detail for later. And it was a restaurant where they served rum and stuff. So I was like, oh, well, I don't want to get a really expensive rum, but I'll drink it I'll drink it neat rather than have a cocktail because I like my spirits, specifically whiskey. So I asked for an Appleton 12, right? And the service that whole night was absolutely bloody clueless. Like they were just didn't know what they're doing. Anyway, my rum got brought over. I was like, that's not what I asked for. It's got ice in it and it doesn't smell like rum. Sent it back, so they're pretty clueless. Anyway, a different person comes back with it, and I go, "That's the Appleton 12, right?" He goes, "I don't know, I think so." And I was like, "All right, fine, great, thank you for my Appleton 12, brilliant." Oh yeah, and our server made a really big deal. Of I said I'll have the Appleton 12. She couldn't find it on the iPad that she was using for the orders, and I was like, "It's fine. I'll just have a more simple one if that's possible." And she was like, no, you're going to get your drink. You're going to get what you want. And I was like, oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Anyway, then at the end of the night, the bill gets to save everyone having to divide by 9 what each person owes for the bill. Someone just takes the bill, pays it, we leave. So this morning, I've now got a message of what I actually drank, which was a 21-year-old rum for £27 for a single measure.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it could be worse.
Wait, were they wanting you to pay up in hindsight then?
Or this is a social thing, right? Because they should have read the bill. They went and paid it. They're on the other table. I didn't even know they went and did that.
Yeah,
but I mean, I do kind of owe it, but I don't because I'm an innocent victim here, and I had to drink that really old rum.
Right. So they put a foot forward and they're like, all right, I'll do it fine.
Yeah. And I didn't even know because I was on the other table.
And now they've got cold feet about it in hindsight?
No, they don't have cold feet. I just saw a picture of the bill and was like, I didn't want that.
Clearly everyone in this situation.
Everyone is incompetent except me. Except I was probably talking at the time and not paying attention.
Right. I mean, you got rich taste. What can you say? Right?
Yeah, and I look like an asshole because who the fuck orders a single while you're eating jerk chicken, which you're by the way, it's not the best. I mean, it's very tasty, but in terms of your palate, it's not really going to be.
Right. That's quite the conundrum. So, is there social fallout now that you need to smooth over?
Yeah.
No. I've just ignored it. That's fine.
Oh wow.
That'll come.
Wow. All right. That's a power move.
Yeah,
It's a
no,
power
for
move.
sure. It's an expert technique. And
Yeah, so that's a bummer. I thought
Yeah.
I was getting a £7 drink and it's £26. But like I said, it could have been worse because with whiskey, like especially in bars, like if you got like a Macallan, it would be like over £100 for a single, and I'd actually start considering.
Yeah,
options.
when you were starting the story, I thought it was going to be like anywhere from like 50 to 110.
Yeah, £26 shows how much chat needs to donate.
That's right. pay for Matty's
drinking problem.
Well, guys, I'm looking quite rosy right now. I assure you, it's just hot. I don't have a drinking problem.
right.
And this
Correct.
is coffee,
Total-
not
total. That's definitely
anything
coffee.
else.
It's not Kahlua. It's definitely not
You
Kahlua.
have to donate. You have to donate to Matty's Patreon because he needs to be able to cover for the incompetence of his local restaurants' errors.
And his friends.
Yeah, it's just a little local spot in London. Yeah.
Right. So, where are you guys at in general with returning food?
Jen, my university roommate's dad owned Appleton Estates. Jen, can you like? I think we can work this out.
Oh,
Jen,
wow.
I'm like 30 minutes away. Hook it up.
Jen, just put me in touch, and I'm sure the money can come back to me somehow.
Sure.
But I'm also cautious. I don't want to sound tight because £19 really is not. It's not the end of the world.
Broke boy.
Right.
Broke boy.
Yeah, irrelevant.
Broke boy. So, Griff, you were asking where are we on in terms of returning food?
Yeah,
drinks?
no, like if I was given a completely wrong order, I'd be like, this isn't what I ordered. Kind of like what you said. Could you please?
Yeah.
But if there was like one thing wrong with my order, I'm probably not going to say anything. But it depends.
Yeah. How much money would it take for you to say something?
Well, see, it's not a matter of if I'm losing out on like the value of it. If it's just like I wanted this instead of that, and they gave me this instead of that, like a side dish or whatever. I don't know. It depends. It depends. But generally, I err on the side of whatever. It'll be fine.
It like if it's one little thing, but it's one little thing that like technically ruins it. Like
Sure.
if it's like something that I don't want on like in the meal.
Yeah.
Like if it's like if I'm ordering like a sandwich or whatever, but it has like I don't like tomato. Like if it has tomato on it, like I might send that back, even though that's like technically one thing. But yeah.
So Galen in the chat says say something so the server can fix it. I think that's why I'm annoyed. Like everything went wrong. Like I did say, and I double checked because they were already being pretty incompetent. I was just like, you know what? They're busy. It's loud. Oh, and it's really loud. Like there was really loud music, so I couldn't hear anything. So my ears aren't very good.
So what you're saying is they were bad on early downs and late downs.
Yeah, it's just a shit show, and I'm having to pay the price. I'm like the defense, and I'm having to pay the price. But ultimately, I've got to get off the field still, and that involves paying £19 more than I thought.
Yeah, for sure. No, I got you. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
But you know what? I got to drink like a rum, and I was smelling it and was like, this smells way nicer than I expected. I was like, what the fuck?
No wonder.
It's like, why is it so nice?
There were clues. There were breadcrumbs.
Yeah, there were little breadcrumbs. There were. Yeah. Oh well. Right. Should we do the podcast?
Hit it, Matty.
Hit it.
Oh yeah, that's the bit where I do this. Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where the Seahawks have returned to their winning ways. They are now 4-2 on the season. They have defeated the Arizona Cardinals at home 20-10. Arizona falls to 1-6. Nice victory over a divisional opponent. Some recurring themes which were a bit troublesome. Jen, you've distracted me by putting red stripe. I love red stripe. Very tasty. Should have just gone with that. That would have been cheaper. Although, if I'd ordered red stripe, they might have come with like a really expensive bottle of red stripe liquor, which like cost $1,000. Anyway, preamble listeners, check us out on YouTube. If you haven't, will know what that means. Ty,
that's me.
How was that game overall? Are you just walking out there with the W, you personally, and you're happy with that? Or
Yeah. Me personally, I was out on the field this afternoon. It was a hard-fought game.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Really means a lot coming from you. Yeah, so it's an ugly win, but you take it, right? Take any win. It's a divisional game. Games against the Cardinals, especially ones that take place in Seattle, usually go pretty weird. This one was no exception. I mean, that doesn't really apply because it's like different coaching staff, a lot of different personnel in general, but whatever. That's my narrative. I'm sticking with it. So yeah, it's an ugly win, but it's a win nonetheless, and you move on. So yeah, Griff.
I generally feel pretty positive about it.
Oh, that's a shocker.
They were the defense continues to be really good. I think it dominated a team for the most part that it should dominate. The Cardinals seem to whip together a drive or two or three against every team they've played so far. They really only had 2 drives this game that like moved the ball. The Seahawks like bottled them up as well as made negative plays as well on defense. So, well, positive plays for their side of it. So that's kind of what you wanted to see. There were hardly any like easy completions or like there were no busts, frustrating busts. On offense, it was the same flavor what we've been seeing, moving the ball kind of at will and then stalling when you get into the red zone. I do think there was some positives from the way that they stalled in the red zone, aside from like a horrible interception, which is just horrible. And then they were again accounting for opponent is you got to do that, but they were good on third downs today, run and pass. So generally speaking, I mean, I feel like the offense can only get better as the offensive line continues to shape up, despite the O-line playing decently today. Continuity is still really important for a lot of different reasons. So, I mean, the defense continues to get better, and the offense's floor, I think, is still fairly high. And it can only get better as time goes on, is how I view that, the long and short of it.
Yeah. So we should say offensively they were challenged today, given DK Metcalf was inactive, dealing with a hip and ribs thing. Zach Charbonnet also inactive, the running back, and then up front, banged up again, Phil Haynes, who had been playing right guard, then injuries happened, moved to left guard, inactive, and Evan Brown inactive at center. So more shuffling, and I think one of the positives we can take from the offensive line is the pass pro. Ty, I know you wanted to speak about how the pass protection in the main seemed good, like the sack on Geno Smith was kind of more scheme thing where they didn't bite on the run fake. They hit the backside of the bootleg. I know that the Cardinals finished with 4 sacks overall, but that all seemed to be Geno kind of holding the ball, nothing open downfield, presumably.
Yeah. Geno was pretty clean all day, and like on the Bobo touchdown, you see him kind of trust his protection. He kind of looks over, sees like Cross has his guy, and that allows Geno to hold on to the ball just a little bit longer before making just an insane throw to Bobo. Yeah, I think overall today the pass pro was pretty good. The run blocking is a little bit of a question mark, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more. But I thought they held up pretty well, considering that this is yet another week with a lack of any sort of continuity between these 5 guys. You got Stone Forsythe playing on the right side today instead of Jake Curran. You got Oluwatimi starting in place of Evan Brown. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of been they've just been piecing this thing together week by week, so it's hard to really build any sort of continuity, any sort of consistency there. So the fact that they were able to hold up, and look, obviously the Cardinals they don't have a juggernaut of a pass rushing unit or anything like that, but still, to keep Geno as clean as he was all afternoon long, I think that's pretty impressive. So, and it allowed for them to move the ball very well, at least through the passing game all afternoon long. Until they got to the red zone, of course, but another story.
Yeah, so Griff, I don't know what you made of the offensive line. Did we see Stone Forsythe at right tackle for a bit? Oh, Galen's just mentioned it in the chat.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so that's interesting, and I'm anxious to see how that kind of shaked out. I know Curhan must have been struggling, and because he still has that ankle thing he's dealing with, and then I don't know how the left side.
Forsythe started the game, I think.
Right, so maybe
really?
I need to see the snap counts, but who played on the left then?
It was Cross the whole time.
Cross the whole time, of course. Yeah. All of this stuff to keep up with. Now, they had 115 net yards rushing on 32 attempts, which is only 3.6 yards per carry. However, that is kind of impacted by the short yardage stuff. And I think for me, the run game in certain situations, it seemed as though they were getting really good yards. Towards the end of the game, they seemed to get solid yards when they needed to. And it came across to me, okay, short yardage doesn't help because they know you're running, but they knew they were running at the end of the game. I wonder if it's more a case of they're able to run the ball out of 12 and 13 personnel, multiple tight end looks, and specifically more kind of under center stuff. But when it comes to the like gun or lighter personnel run game, they're having real difficulties. That's perhaps an oversimplification. We need tape, we need actual data rather than anecdotal stuff. But Griff, I mean, what did you make of the run game?
I think some of the under center runs at like second and medium plus were odd.
Yeah.
I get wanting to be able to use play action in those downs at later points, those down and distances, because it's so effective for them. It's one of their best ways to move the ball right now. I don't really think that was the most efficient way to go. Maybe they were confident about their third down game plan. Sure enough, they converted some of those subsequent third downs. And then I think that they want to have a gun run game for the same reason, to be able to play action. Their gun play action game today was really good. But aside from that, I just feel like they're doing a little too much of it, checking it, either calling it or Geno checking into those calls. That said, like still the early down drop back game was really effective out of shotguns. So I just don't know if it's worth it. That said, Waldron likes to kind of ebb and flow with his sequencing over a cluster of weeks and then switch it up. So I think maybe he's doing this with some intention, some degree of intentionality, and then we'll see it go back down another way in the subsequent weeks. I don't know, but it's like the last 2-3 weeks they've been gun running quite a bit on second down in particular. So
on Waldron, to me, and well, before we get to Waldron, actually, because it's quite easy to look at the play calling, but I think we need just the basic numbers to give us an idea of how the offense did. The red zone, they went 1 for 3, just 33%. They didn't reach the red zone that often. It felt like they maybe reached it more often than that, but apparently not. Third down, they went 7 for 13.
7 for 13.
So, yeah, 54%, above that kind of 50% mark that they want to be in, so solid. But I think really the key theme to this game was the turnovers, and that includes DJ Dallas-Ty, a really poor mistake, and he's shown perhaps sides of over-aggression as a returner, which were punished today, running into tackle one-armed, and Joey Blunt gets his revenge. Then Geno forcing that ball, it just can't happen, can it?
Yeah, and I think his arm got hit a little bit on that, so maybe he's trying to lob the ball over the defender, but still, that's the play that you need to eat, especially in that situation. Kick the field goal, take the points, move on. Yeah, just an example of Geno doing a little too much, but I think overall, today Geno was really good. It was just like a couple of really bad throws and like bad throws. One of them, he was fortunate enough that the ball didn't get picked. That might have been a pick six on that ball over the middle to JSN. And then
that was bad.
That was really bad.
Really
and then
bad.
And then the actual interception down in the red zone was rough. But also I think it's a little bit altered by his arm getting hit. Not sure. I'd have to watch it again. And then the Dallas fumble. I feel like that's been kind of a long time coming, because like you mentioned it, he's been very, very aggressive in some of the balls that he's not called fair catch on. That wasn't really that, but he's been pretty loose with football in general, and finally he kind of got on that part. And then the snap, the botch snap, those things happen. It's brutal that it happened, but I'm not too upset about it. It's just, it's really unfortunate that happened in that particular situation in that particular game state. So just pretty sloppy game. I mean, I think there was just some sloppy decision making in general too, like outside of Geno's interception and then the near interception. Also, like Kenneth Walker running out of bounds again when they needed to run out the clock. Devin Witherspoon on the interception, trying to run it out of the end zone, even though that it got called back anyway for roughing the passer, but still, like, just some absent-mindedness, I would say, across the board today, which, yeah, in a different situation might come back to bite them a little bit more, but fortunately they were able to dodge that. I think the Cardinals only scored 3 points off of the turnovers today, so
yeah, which, I mean, that speaks to the defensive effectiveness, and I really want to talk about the defense. I think that's one real positive from this game again, but the Geno thing does, why he feels the need to press like that concerns me. In back-to-back weeks, just come away with the red zone points. Like, they almost shot themselves in the foot again, and that end of game sequence tie was really poorly handled. I know if they complete that past the JSN, it looked fairly catchable. Then
yeah,
we're talking about, hey, they did a great job. They're taking their shot and ending the game on that throw, but getting into a situation where Myers has to hit a 40-plus yard field goal in a high-pressure situation, okay, you can overlook it, but he just gave the Cardinals a lot of time not running there, or really Walker not going out of bounds there.
Yeah,
it's just so silly. Now,
just some poor situational awareness, but
yes,
that's stuff that you can clean up pretty easy.
Yeah, now the Geno thing, I'm concerned, and I know some people would be going even more overblown with this, because Geno, before he came to Seattle, was kind of seen as a failure and a guy who kind of did stupid stuff, even though I don't think that was fair, but that's how he's characterized by certain people, certain sections of the media. Griff, you have some data on the turnovers that suggest that we might be falling into a bit of recency bias and maybe just some prior bias.
Well, regarding the what am I trying to say? There are like two sides of this. One, like, one of the common criticisms that Geno's taking too many sacks. I mean, he's not. Like, statistically, he isn't. Just because he takes a sack or two doesn't mean that he's taking a lot of them. I mean, his sack rate in the aggregate before controlling for context is below average, and then if you do control for context, which different websites have different measures of it, different organizations do. I think PFF's sack rate over expectation, he has the third best sack rate over expectation, which is to say he takes fewer sacks than expected in certain situations. Combine that with a low scramble rate, combine that with a low time to throw rate. If you exclude the super long scrambles, all quarterbacks super long scrambles, even with a high average depth of target, he's functioning really well in the pocket. That is generally indicative of a quarterback who's going through his reads, not missing guys and getting the ball out. Now, he will miss guys on occasion, as we know last week, but that is not representative, or that doesn't characterize his overall sample. Then as it goes to the whole turnover thing, he's had turnovers this year, and he's had turnover worthy throws this year, but we can still measure this in the aggregate. So there are two different websites, Sports Info. So we'll start with PFF. PFF had him at I think the 20th lowest rate, or what am I saying? Yeah, so 20th as in it's not good. 20th lowest or highest rate. No, geez, I can't.
You can do it.
He has the 12th highest rate of turnover worthy throws. What I'm trying to say, out of 32 quarterbacks,
which is bad.
Is bad. Sports Info Solutions has him at the 10th. So on the other side of it. So I mean, it's the subjective view of how each charting company views it. You combine those, that's probably bang average. PFF today, so PFF, the company that's giving him more turnover worthy throws, they had him as the highest graded quarterback for this week. So again, you can view that how you want, but it's just, the point is like, that's also with, if you combine those two measures, he's probably in the middle, and that's with an offensive line that is in the aggregate in a worse situation than it was last year, the final 6 games of the week, or the final 6 games of the year, which is the cutoff of when his turnover-worthy throw rate skyrocketed. Prior to that point, he was dead average by PFF last year, weeks 1 through 13. So, I mean, I think there's relative improvement in terms of him protecting the ball relative to the context and circumstances. And then secondly, I also don't think he's simply doing it as often as people are saying. He's certainly doing it more than he should, more than we'd like him to, but it's not this extreme, egregious theme. It's something he certainly needs to improve. But like the other thing to provide context to this, I think, is if he was doing it less than he is right now, in the aggregate, that would probably add up to like him being the 5th best quarterback through 7 weeks this game. The fact that he's doing as much as he is why he's probably somewhere in that 8 to 11 range right now.
Yeah,
in my opinion. So
for me, it's in the past 2 weeks, it's the type of error, it's the kind of magnitude of it, it adds, it magnifies it. The magnitude magnifies it.
Sure.
Last week had nothing to do with pass protection. That was him just liking a look, and he threw the ball wrong. Like if he throws that higher, then it's one of those where it might be graded by some companies as turnover worthy, but with a high kind of back corner style throw for JSN to run underneath, it probably falls incomplete, and it's a throw there. I look at the tape and I'm like, I'm fine with him taking that risk. Okay, he could have checked it down and got the screen. But if he throws it right, it falls incomplete. It just does. It's just the fact he threw it wrong and predetermined it, and then you saw that the screen was there. This week, though, the pick is so poor. It's a sprint out. It's late. It's to the flat. It's just so un-Geno-like that I am concerned by that massively. Just really, really awful. And no need to do that. Pete Carroll said, though, interestingly, that in training camp they had a similar issue on sprint out plays with Geno, where he didn't know when to just not force it in, because you have the option there to run, and it looked like he could have run for the first down. I know coulda, woulda, shoulda, and oftentimes when it looks like something could happen in the NFL, those windows close real fast. But also just go down again. You could live another down. Yeah. Was that 3rd and goal?
That was 3rd down. So yeah, but in that situation, I think it was 17-10. So they had an opportunity to make it a 2-score game.
That's the other thing. It felt like the Bengals game where how many opportunities you're going to have, and against a good team, like in the playoffs, if you start doing this, you will lose. Against the Bengals, when you do this, you lose. You can't do this. Like the Cardinals are a joke. Like they're not a good team. They're very well coached, and they came out in the first half and did some really good things. And Budda Baker did return to their lineup, but ultimately, like everyone knows what that is. Like they're a poor team, and there's not many teams in the league can get away with doing that against. Now, the fumble,
they scored 3 points off of the turnovers. Like against that's not going to happen against the 49ers of the world, the Eagles of the world. So.
No matter how well the defense plays. Now, the fumble, Olu Oluwatimi comes in at center, his first start. I think he does a pretty good job overall. We need to see the run game and the tape for that. But
yeah,
and part of that also with the run game is like the center makes some pretty important calls there, and then the combo block chemistry that Evan Brown had with his 2 guards. Well, the starters anyway was looking pretty solid. So there's moving parts around that. But the fumble, I know Geno takes responsibility for it, but some of that I imagine's on Olu. Pete said the snap was a bit quick or something, so it's just clearly like a timing thing, and it's not necessarily on either person. It's more like a chemistry that needs working out. I remember in the first half there was like a wide zone handoff where Geno was really having to stretch to get it out because basically the timing of the play was slightly off, and he almost tripped over, and it kind of killed the timing of the play. So this sort of stuff happens. I don't really think Geno looks, no doubt the quarterback's going to look a bit stupid when they go under center and then they drop the ball and it falls on the floor. And yeah, he does take full responsibility for it. But really, my issue is that and then the fact it comes, the drive, like they had a play in between, but basically consecutive plays of the offense out there almost of Geno giving the ball away to the Cardinals is not a good look. But yeah, the pick for me is much more egregious than the fumble. And the pick for me is the first, like that's hyper concerning. Like you just can't. Like, stop, don't do that. That's really bad. But important perspective from Griff, as ever, that statistically, like, it's okay. Like, it will be okay. It should be okay.
All I'm saying is it's certainly his bad play. It's as bad as it is. There's no rationalizing it. I wonder, like, like the how do we gauge the frequency of his bad plays versus the frequency of his good plays? If there were other elements of the offense that are less like out of the quarterback's control, doing better, I think that there would be a little bit more grace being extended to the overall picture here. Even if Geno played exactly the same, like isolating him, and other, like if they punch in one of those 2-yard runs at the goal line, and like how do we just, is there just a different tenor there? Because that was a good red zone drive until you got stuffed at the goal line twice. I mean, an offense would love to be at the 2-yard line. I think them getting to the 2-yard line was them slowly starting to figure out their red zone stuff. So I do wonder how much is the results being what they are, kind of like coloring how we're viewing the process of it all. That said, I mean, quarterbacks turn the ball over, and these are his turnovers. And if he starts doing it once a game, every game, then like, yeah, that's a concern, or more than that, that's a concern. Then we need to characterize him differently. I'm just saying, I don't think there's cause to characterize him differently yet. I just think these are the plays in the sample that are negative.
Right.
I find them uncharacteristic. That's why I found that troubling. Really, that's my kind of take on the
that's
situation.
fair. That's fair.
And even like the JSN almost pick, like he stared that down, and usually he'd read where the weak hook defender was on 4 strong. He just sort of forgot that guy was there, almost like that. They still had a defender to change the math on that, I guess. Just really bad.
That was the most. I think that was like the actual worst decision he made all game long. Because that's actual quarterbacking. Like the play hasn't broken down yet. You're in structure.
Right. And again, uncharacteristic, because usually Geno would read that out in structure and never do that. It was like, whoa. So I need to watch that back to see if they did something funky. Did they drop 8? Maybe it could have been.
I'm not sure. I think he's just trying to rifle in, because
he has rifled before.
The one thing I do appreciate is that when he does something bad, he doesn't change his play style to a detrimental degree to account for it the next time. I think that's a good thing. So I don't know. Yeah, as always, we got to see the tape, but I feel like it's I don't know. We'll see, really.
And it is better for this to happen, week 6 of, well, what is it, week 6? Week 7, is it now?
Week 7, yeah.
Yeah, week 7 of the season, rather than if they are good enough to reach the postseason, which I think we all believe they are, then if it happens in the postseason, that's a problem. But they need to kind of work it out now, especially with results around the NFC, and, they have an opportunity to be really, really good and
make a deep run.
Right,
January,
so on that topic, Ty, well, not the deep run topic, but the really good topic, I think it's easy to pin it all on the quarterback, but again, and the offensive line, but the red zone play calling, and again, it would help if you could run the ball effectively in those situations, which they seemingly can't do. But when it comes to Shane Waldron, I mean, what's your take on his play calling here today? When you score 20 points, but you stall in the red zone and turn the ball over twice, even though it's not really a play calling issue, or is it? It's never going to look great, but
yeah, I thought the when they were first and goal at the 1 or whatever, on the first run play, I thought that we'll have to watch the tape, but I thought that Ken actually had the B gap open on Bradford's right hip, and he instead tried to hit Oluwatimi's right hip. So I think that might have just fallen on Walker. The second play, they just got stuffed, whatever. I'm fine with them running it again there. Really, my only issue in terms of play calling is kind of what Griff mentioned earlier, is just some of the second down run calls. I just think that's a little weird. But overall, I mean, we'll never know. There's so much context to comb through here when we're talking about this, but because again, if the play calls actually work, then we're not talking about play calling, right? Ultimately, I feel like it comes down to execution, especially down there at the goal line. I don't have any issue with calling run plays down there. I have no issue with calling, what was it, inside zone or something on the first and goal, and then I think it was inside zone again on
Mm-hmm.
second and goal. Like, yeah, I don't really have any issues with the play calling, to be honest with you. I don't really have a take on that other than we just don't really know. Do you feel any differently, either of you?
Well, one thing I'd say is like his offense is pretty siloed in the each formation has. This is like any offense, but he really does go to certain formations to do certain things, and then off that there's like a certain tendency breaker off that occasionally, which is sprinkled in. But like when it's bad or they're struggling to move the ball, it becomes even more apparent that it almost looks random that they're spamming a different formation or personnel suddenly and trying to get something going.
Right.
But that's, I don't know if that's exclusive to Seattle's offense. I think it's just an offense that's struggling at the moment. And it's
Right.
like that second and goal play where they tried like the duo play action and they covered it up well. Or no, might not have been second and goal. Might have been a third and goal play action.
It was third and goal. You're talking about the one to Parkinson.
Yeah, and Pete took the points afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like the other thing to keep in mind here is like, obviously this isn't to excuse the Seahawks offense down in the red zone, but obviously red zone efficiency around the league is down for offenses. So like this is this has been somewhat of a league wide issue. So I wonder if this is just a matter of like offenses needing to readjust, recalibrate in general. It's not just a Seahawks specific issue, but yeah,
but that third and goal play where it was like the fake duo, to me that felt like that's the tendency breaker, like that's his like change up, and they really thought they were going to get that, but I don't know, it's just a problem. It's not the first time that this has been an issue for the offense. Right. And it falls on everyone's shoulders, and they need to work it out, because I mean the defense, and we will talk about them. they really kind of won the day again. Obviously the offense did some good things that we need to speak about also, but yeah, Griff, I know it's hard without tape, but did you have any play calling gripes, any wider themes?
I mean, the only thing that I think that stalled the open field progression or moving of the chains were those failed second down runs, really. I mean, outside of that, everything else they did seemed to work. At least getting them into the red zone worked really, really well. It was then getting into the red zone where I don't know. I mean, so I did a thread before the game where I said the reason why I think they're failing on, and with the things that we've been talking about, the reason why they've been failing on third down in the red zone is because those are the situations that reveal the weaknesses of the supporting cast as it's currently constructed. So it would be concerning if they were not doing well in situations where those weaknesses are revealed less, like they're less dependent on. So like, and also like even not just the offensive line, but the receiver core, they're not as conducive. There's the skill sets of the receiving core and tight end group aren't as applicable to a short field as they are in a long field. So lo and behold, their best red zone concepts that they've run are out of the high red, because it's still short, but it's longer. Sure enough, they scored 2 touchdowns off of 2 deep throws, or deep-ish throws. The high red zone, the one to Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then the ball to Bobo. Like that's what this offense does. They dunk on you downfield. And this time it was Jake Bobo instead of DK Metcalf of all people, but that was a dime throw from Geno. That was Bobo winning. And then when they get into the short red zone, they're one of the things that has been going well even this year, not just last year, is their goal line running has been pretty solid. They had 2 perfect opportunities to do that, and they just failed. But beyond that, they got there. They got into the position that they can lean on their strengths with, and they just couldn't execute this time. So I don't think they failed in the red zone the same way they failed last week. I think really, like, if you take a look under the hood, I think they kind of improved intrinsically, and it was just, I don't know, what do you call it? Variance. Maybe you really did need Evan Brown in that context. I don't know. Maybe Damian Lewis isn't 100%, but and again, we're also only talking about 2 plays here, which ultimately frustratingly, is a really small sample, and maybe you can't make sweeping generalizations off of those 2 plays.
Yeah.
But I look at those 2 play, they converted that series of downs that got them to the 2 yards. That was functional red zone play. So I look at those 2 plays and Geno's bozo interception. Those go the other way. I feel like they have a semblance of cohesion and schematic identity in the red zone that works with what they have available to them right now. So all in all, I think I'm kind of okay with the play calling. But Matty, back to what you said, I mean, that is the downside of what Waldron does, right? It's the siloed element. You kind of have different worlds, and when it works, but when it doesn't, it's going to not work for those reasons that you mentioned. Because surely not everything is going to work all the time. When it doesn't work, it's going to not work for a reason. And in this case, it's that theme that you mentioned. I think it connects to that for sure.
Yeah.
So essentially what you guys are saying is like you need a plan B. Like an actual plan B to fall back on.
Or more like a plan C almost. But basically there's a lot of plan A's with lots of different plan A's with a plan B off each.
You need to be able to live in the formation and do more out of each formation ultimately.
Right.
Which that isn't going to happen this year because 12 personnel, 13 personnel is too effective. If we want to see more 11.
And to Griff's point on that, sorry, Griff, but it's important.
That's fine.
You can't do too many 12 and 13 personnel formations.
Right. It's just not. You can do what the pair trips or the 2x2 wing, or you can do or
you
like
can do
the
time of empty, but
the stack, and then the other thing is you can get into the empty world, which I'm actually surprised we haven't seen a lot of it because that was so effective for them. Empty out of 12 personnel, like their numbers last year were insane.
Because you get base.
You get base, but then also they don't have the O-line to protect for that right now.
No.
So
Right.
a lot of this goes back to the O-line health. Like 5-man protection out of empty's hard.
Yeah. So there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it does feel like everything kind of comes back around to the O-line and
even
the
though they
injuries.
played really solid in this game from a pass pro standpoint, and we need to look at the run blocking. But now the other concern to me on the red zone, and it kind of transitions us nicely into the positive of today, believe it or not, the way that they scored today. Now you'll take however a team scores, right? Like I'm not complaining about that, but you know, it looks like a busted coverage on Jackson Smith and Jigba's seam route. It might not be. It might just be bad zone. It might just be bad corner play. It doesn't necessarily have to be an outright bust. It could just be a good design. I need to look back at it. But it looked, you know, for someone to be that open in the red zone on a seam in the Seahawks offense, we haven't seen that for a while, is kind of surprising. And then you throw a miracle ball, which perfect throw, perfect catch, unbelievable catch from Jake Bobo. Like, I just question how sustainable both those ways of scoring are. And it seems harsh. And again, it's two play sample size. But with the whole context of the season, the struggles in the red zone, I'm just a bit like, that makes me slightly nervous moving forward. But maybe it's the tipping point of, hey, we've won in nasty ways. We can get back to being a bit more consistent and effective and more variance down the line. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too critical.
Well, I think the theme, though, is that Waldron acknowledging that verticality is the theme to score touchdowns. So, sure, well, what was their best red zone concept last year? It was Mills, right? So you have one in break.
Hasn't he tried the verticality every game so far this season?
I feel like he was doing that like in the 10-yard range, like 10 yards out.
Okay.
Well,
fair.
I mean,
I just think maybe they just stopped calling that cursed seam.
Here's the one thing
hitch,
that they do is dumb as hell. Yeah.
Yeah. Or sorry, maybe they stopped calling the hitch seam hitch route, and maybe they just called different vertical plays.
Yeah.
Could be that.
The other thing is, so their best like 5 to 10 yard pass plays are long developing horizontal stuff, even if it's play action. Like mesh, because that simulates the advantages of a long field. Your receivers are running longer where they're more likely to separate because that's the skill set. Tyler Lockett is a separator, but he's not necessarily an elite 90-degree angle separator. He kind of runs curved, jagged lines, and he manipulates the defender, right? You can leverage that ability. The longer the route is, the longer the concept develops. They have not had the offensive line to run those long developing plays. If they had Stephon Diggs, none of this would matter because he's that kind of route runner.
Can they get him?
So, like, I mean, like, I am as content as you can be with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. But they have very unique skill sets.
You want a
Tyler
different
Lockett,
14.
Tyler Lockett is generally a very good route runner, but there are still some specific routes that he's not per se elite at, right?
Which is more like and part of that also is like his frame, right? Like Diggs is slightly bigger and
he can high point the ball much better than Tyler Lockett. So like all that stuff adds up. And right now I think we would have no issues with the receiving core and tight end core if the O-line was at even like 80% strength. If they had four of their 5 guys, which I think they're getting really close to. Like you'd like Geno and Waldron and everyone else to be marginally better in spite of the circumstances, but we don't even need to worry about them getting intrinsically better in spite of the circumstances, just because the easiest way they're going to get better is just like Abraham Lucas getting back on the field, Phil Haynes getting back on the field, Evan Brown getting back on the field. You know, you finally got Cross and Lewis, you know, like that's going to be the driving force to them putting it all together, I think. So,
So I teased the positive, but one huge positive to this game was the performance of Seattle's 2 rookie wide receivers. I mean, particularly in the first half, because the second half, well, Jake Bobo still had a big catch, but JSN kind of went quieter, but we'll have to look at why that happened on tape. Time of possession and coughing the ball up, giving it away probably didn't help, and where they got the ball on the field. But overall, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 4 catches, 63 yards, a touchdown, and then Jake Bobo, 4 catches, 61 yards, a touchdown. One a first-round pick, one an undrafted free agent. But Ty, I mean, you love JSN, and you're loving Bobo?
Yeah. All right, I'll admit defeat. Bobo is real. He is. I mean, dude, he's got really nice footwork. I can't lie, man. Like we saw that on display. We saw that on display, obviously on the touchdown. But like the clear out on the first explosive that he had, like he cooked that DB. Like just straight up cooked him at the line of scrimmage. He's got the juice. I'm afraid to say. So that's. I mean, obviously that's great for the Seahawks. JSN finally getting involved and making like an actual like huge impact is great too, especially with DK being out today. You guys have said this on the show before. Like it hasn't been an issue of him like not getting separation or anything like that. Just the results haven't really been there. So we finally saw the results come with the performance. So yeah, his ability to get open is, I mean, it's great, right? Like, and now Geno is able to find him a little bit more. What's up? Oh, you're looking at Twitter again?
Me?
Yeah, you.
No, I'm just chuckling at the fact that Jake Bobo has the best feet on the team. Yeah. Like, why does he?
It's insane. It's insane. But yeah, like
probably runs a 4.93 cone, right?
Yeah, 3 cone is probably insane.
JSN though has like he's had some issues. Like he's had a couple of drops. I wonder if he has like issue with velocity. Like obviously he had that one where like Drew just yeeted it to him down the sideline in New York. But then the slant today that he dropped on the 3rd down on the last drive of the game? Yeah, last drive of the game. Like that's a little bit of a concern. That's a ball that he probably should catch. There was also the one that I think he dropped it. I think he got his hands on it where he kind of got clipped at his feet and he was complaining after saying like, he tackled me. You could hear it on the hot mic. But overall, I think just him finding the end zone today is huge for him, just confidence wise. Because I mean, you could see it over the last few games, especially like that clip that kind of went viral after the Panthers game where he was kind of down on himself after the interception. Like, I wonder if he's been dealing with some confidence issues because the results haven't really been there.
Right. So seeing all the team like kind of be really excited for him, even if he gets a catch, and then today all dapping him up after his touchdown. It's nice. Like you do that for anyone, but it feels extra attentive, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I think this was a great confidence boost for JSN today, and for Bobo. I mean, it's another eye-opening day for Jake Bobo, he's doing it all, man. Also like everyone's making a big deal about like, oh, they actually had a successful screen today, like on the JSN first down.
Oh, how did that happen, Ty?
Bobo was a big part of that, right? Great block on that play. Like he's doing it all right now. So yeah, they have 4 legit dudes in that receiving core right now, and then they're gonna get Eskridge back, and we'll see how they want to implement him. But it's a good receiving core.
Yes, crazy. Like Tyler Lockett getting up there in age ish.
Yeah,
we always thought, oh, that's kind of not a ticking time bomb. That's mean, but it's creeping up as an issue, right? And he's a successful realtor now, and there is a life after football. And like we saw with Doug Baldwin, for instance, the end can come sooner than you anticipate it. It's very sudden sometimes in the NFL, so you just never know. And it's always like, what's the future of the receiver position? Eskridge hasn't panned out yet. But suddenly, it seems in an off-season, via the first round and undrafted free agency, Seattle's found a really crafty 6'4", agile as hell receiver who can get open on any route, basically. And then JSN, who's like, I mean, he still feels untapped, to be honest, but he's really damn solid. So very, very cool stuff. Griff, have you got a take on these receivers?
No, I would just echo what you guys said. I think it's cool that Jackson Smith and Jigba could feature really as like one of the main 2 receivers in the progression for a lot of what they did, and they can still move the ball, and it's fine.
It was so cool seeing. Like I love what DK Metcalf brings, but seeing kind of 2 outside slot types, or slot outside types, not just a pure X out there, and how that influenced the drop back game, especially in the first half. Like, either guy could run a genuine like dig route where it's not the backside dig. It's like it could be a primary dig. Like either guy can run a variety of routes, and you can get cut splits and go either way, and basically run the whole route tree. Which, I mean, we know what DK brings, and we know what his route tree is.
Yeah, I mean, like, so like by that token, aside for the Bobo touchdown, you didn't have the go ball this game, right? Like that's a huge, it's a silver bullet at any point in your offense, and affects so much of the defensive structure. But we got what we got instead, which was so nice. And then Bobo is just, he's 6'4", he runs good routes, and he can catch with his hands, and he can play the ball in the air relative to the defender as well. That should add up to a lot of production, and if not a lot of production, volume-wise, efficiency with your touches, and he has been nothing but efficient with his touches. So
I want to see him given a bang 8.
Yes, absolutely, because that would be his meat and potatoes in theory, right?
Right.
It's him just running like a dig route against outside leverage. Like, how does it look? That's a
corner
huge target.
Post corner. Give him all of that.
Yeah. I mean, more Bobo. Bobo. God damn it.
He's and you know what I found impressive, that 3rd and 5 where it was getting a bit scary because the offense didn't get that second down run like they thought they would, and Geno has to drop back, and if they don't get it, they're in real crap. Like, it's like the defense is going to have to make an absolute blinder again. And suddenly, on Twitter, I got hit up by at Honnold Blake, who I believe was at the Detroit game and was accurate in the Bengals game, sorry. And they were accurate in their assessment live of what they'd seen, like how JSN was open, Geno turned it down. They tweeted that apparently JSN was open on a touchdown there when Geno checked it down underneath. But what I found impressive about that, regardless, fine, Geno doesn't want to take the risk. They're trying to just win the game. We'll have to see if the all-22 and the timing syncs up. But Blake has shown themselves to be pretty accurate ball knower. But Bobo I don't think every receiver gets that first down. I don't want to overgas Bobo, but he caught that with about 2 yards to go, and he just knows how to move. He's just a football player. He knows how to move in every situation, even on the pick, right? So you see the pick and it's awful. And then you see the reverse angle and it's Bobo. He almost knocks that ball out at the end. He makes a really good tackle and he's going for the fumble. Guy knows football. And okay, he's 25, but that means you have 5 years of his rookie deal and then jobs are good in 4 years. But anyway, I don't know how undrafted free agents work. It's fine.
He's scrappy. He's a lunch
How
pail
long
guy.
is his contract? Is it only 1 year because he's an undrafted free agent?
No, there's like maybe there's like
It's
RFA
3 years, right? And then you can
status and all
tender.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 years and
Let's
then
see here. Let's see
RFA
here.
in year 4. Yeah, because RFA would be
Yeah.
year 4, right?
Yeah.
Was it year 5?
Yeah. So no, it's exclusive rights free agent in year 4, I believe, and then RFA in year 5. Sorry, exclusive rights free agent in year 4, RFA in year 5, UFA year 6, I believe.
So
I think that's how that works.
it could be an option. Now, Jen in the chat is saying, could JSN be our Cooper Cup? We always kind of liken JSN to maybe doing what kind of Robert Woods did in that offense, but not quite. But
Yeah.
what JSN could, Jake Bobo could be our Cooper Cup. Don't tell Rams fans that. They get very upset. They're really upset on Twitter.
I wonder why you would make that comparison, Matty.
Yeah, Matty. Would you like to-
Because, do you want to know why? They're both
Why?
born on the West Coast.
Oh, okay. I guess they have a lot in common after all.
That's right.
One is from Yakima Valley, and one is from Please Be a Valley.
So
both of their jersey numbers start in 1.
He
He's
does,
from Massachusetts. He's not from the West Coast.
He does remind me
He
of
transferred from Duke to UCLA.
Yeah. But he's like a Massachusetts Laxbro kind of guy.
I'm so happy he's 6'4", because if he was 5'9", Bill Belichick would have like kidnapped him.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because he is Bill Belichick type of player.
So you know who he reminds me of is a less physical, slightly
Wes Welker.
more graceful. Exactly. But Drake London. I mean, they have a similar game. It's all footwork and just like movement skills, and not necessarily. There's quickness, there's suddenness, there's fluidity. There's not really speed.
Not Julio.
You can separate. I was going to say Jerry Rice actually.
Oh right.
Right.
Yeah. And he can play the ball, man. That's really what's the most exciting part. Like,
Yeah.
the ability to separate and play the ball is just.
Is he millennial Steve Largent?
He's Joe Juravicious meets Jordy Nelson meets Chris Collinsworth is where I would go with that.
Okay.
Meets Steve Largent. Yeah.
Yeah, nailed it.
And
So
Julian Edelman.
we should, before we get to the defense, we should credit Pete Carroll's 2 successful challenges that made the Bobo catch a reality by his big toe. He must have a really big toe to stick it in there before the rest of the foot lands out of bounds. Lovely work.
Sure.
I mean, an incredible catch. Like, what the heck? And I like how kind of dorky he gets up. He just looks happy. He's happy to be out there. One of the fellas. And then Pete Carroll also had a challenge on a fumble, which I did not think was a I thought it was a fumble, so I thought it was a catch. But he got it overturned to be ruled incomplete. Brought up 4th and 6. Would have been 4th and 2, 4th and 1, and I think
4th and 1. They were
going to go for it. Apparently, I kind of wanted them to go for it, but anyway.
I stand by my opinion that Pete Carroll gifted the Cardinals 3 points with that challenge.
Yeah. That being said, they did have a pretty effective QB run game, especially in that first half, and they may have been able to pick it up. They were doing some tough things schematically. Now, the defense. This is the 3rd week in a row that the defense has allowed a total yardage of under 250 total yards. So, hello. The defense is playing football. And, yep, they only allowed 3 points off 3 turnovers. They played some really, really good stuff. Josh Dobbs did get his yards on the ground, 7 carries, 43 yards. But really, they kind of gave one play up, which was that big scamper that on the 1st and 15, 25?
Yeah.
1st and 25 for a touchdown where
1st
missed
and 25.
tackles. Whoever had the QB just didn't play it. Like, they had the scheme up right, as Pete Carroll said afterwards, but they just didn't execute in that moment. But other than that, it was very much how Seattle wants to play defensive football. And yeah, that, like, the fact that they're dropping back to pass and the pass rush can tee off and they're actually getting pass rush and the coverage is getting getting enough depth and they're killing the check down, making the tackle at the check down. They're smacking the heck out the check down. It just felt right.
Yeah.
Ty.
Yeah, they're rallying to the ball. It's great. It's awesome. Also, this is a Cardinals offense that, yeah, it's not good. Like, don't get me wrong here, but they also, like, 3 weeks ago, they put up some yards against the 49ers. They put up 16 points. They've had success. Dobbs has made some pretty impressive throws at times. I've watched them a little bit over the last few weeks. Like, they made them utterly inefficient for really most of the afternoon, aside from that one drive that they scored on. And again, a lot of that was helped out by penalties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't look at this and go, that's just a fluke because of how bad the opponent is. I think this was a great performance by the defense. And, Dobbs was not good today. And also his receivers weren't really helping him out either. A lot of overthrows, a couple of big time drops. Like, it was a rough look for the Cardinals offense, but I still think that, at least part of that is heavily influenced by how well the Seahawks defense is playing right now. And again, yeah, basically forcing them to find success with just checkdowns and QB run game, like, that's ideal. And the way that they're punishing the checkdowns now, the way that they're getting the way that the pass rush is starting to get home a lot more often too, where, like, even if they do throw to the check down, everyone's not like 20 yards downfield, so they're able to rally to the ball a lot quicker. Like, all of it is just it's going a lot more perfectly. It's going a lot more how you need it to go, and it's leading to a lot of success for this defense, which again is just dominating every single week now for the last few weeks. And it's changing my opinion on what the ceiling could be for this unit. Really.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like Ty said, they're a bad offense, but you dominated the bad offense.
Yeah, you have to do that. Like, they did exactly what they needed to do.
And there's so many ways you can look at it. Their aggregate EPA, which, just to use this statistical lens, because it conveys the point just really quickly.
And we don't have tape yet.
Right. It was negative 0.22 per play. So what does that even mean? But percentile wise, it's the 13th percentile performance of all games in the NFL history, according to rbsdm.com, which is a great resource. Their success rate was 33%, which is 8th percentile. So, and their pass EPA was 9th percentile. Their late down performance was 25th percentile, and their pass defense, or the Cardinals pass offense, was 17th percentile. So they were thoroughly, utterly dominating an NFL team. They still put a drive or two on you together. Like, that's what happens. But they held them to 10 points. 3 of them was off of a turnover. I mean, they really murked this team altogether. And they murked them in the ways, like Ty was saying, like, it's the defense getting really good at things they've struggled with. Like, they have the pass rush finally, combined with cohesion on the back end that finally caught up with guys getting healthy and forming chemistry with each other, that allows them to put the finishing touches on the defense, which is now to finally constrict the check down, to be better positioned for it, and then to make the tackle once you're there. They're able to do all those things because of all the other things. Like, they're not a better running back defending team now all of a sudden. It's an end point of other things happening. And that's what it looks like when you're utterly dominating them in the other areas. Now, maybe Jake Bobo missed guys downfield and we didn't see it, right? Like, that happens every game. We won't know until we watch the tape. But like, Jordan Brooks had superficially one of his best looking games he's ever had.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
He did play well, but, like, to me, he's always been that player, more or less. Just the circumstances haven't allowed for him to make plays like that.
Griff, interestingly, Pete Carroll basically said, like, this is him taking the chances at the right time, sort of along the lines of what you're saying. But apparently at times Pete's felt that, and I'm kind of butchering his quote here, but he's felt that he, like, tries to take a shot at the wrong moment, or tries to take a shot which isn't there, but he's seen the right sort of thing. But this he's seeing as Brooks' best stuff yet.
Yeah, and maybe, like, him doing, like, explicitly well on coming down on the short stuff, but, like, I think we'll always value, like, where linebackers really separate themselves is their ability to challenge routes at the second and third level.
The Logan Wilsons of the world.
Right. 52.5 graded Logan Wilson. So
Yeah.
if he's not even being challenged there, I mean, to an extent, what he did is somewhat replaceable, only through the lens that the difficulty of assignment is really not that difficult. But he's also part of the reason why they're checking the ball down, because he's probably relating to routes at the second level well. And then he's, maybe to what Pete is saying, now able to, he's timing it right when he decides to come down to the check down. And maybe he's able to do that more confidently because he can trust his pass rush now. So it's all these things working together. And also, like, they're just not missing tackles in the flat. How many times last year, even when they had good stretches where they had really good structure, the pass rush allowed the second level defenders to make the tackle and they just missed the tackle. Like, it was just a matter of, like Kobe Bryant just not able to bring him down. Like that isn't an issue right now. Like, everyone just makes the play.
No.
I didn't even. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, but I just feel it's kind of what Ty was saying earlier, but it feels like the coverage is almost, it's like basically playing good defense, where the coverage has a sense kind of for the pass rush timing on a given play, and they know when they can come down on the check down. Because at a certain point in coverage, if you're covering deep in your zone, or you're almost, you're aware there's a route kind of behind you, at a certain point you have to make a decision of when you're going to break on the football. And the best teams have a pass rush where they know at a certain point that ball's coming to the check down or getting picked, and they know they can stick their foot in the ground a few seconds earlier than, well, not seconds, but it feels like seconds, than, say, a team where they don't know the pass rush, and then that's why check downs get big yards. But I felt, Seattle only had 2 sacks in this game, despite the Cardinals' right tackle, what's his name?
DJ Humphries.
Thank you very much, Ty. Getting ejected for contacting an official, which was quite amusing. But I felt most of that wasn't a poor pass rush. No, if anything, it was the pass rush and the coverage as they work hand in hand, forcing the ball out to the check down with reliable timing and rhythm, whether they rushed 4, 5, 6, it just, I think the Cardinals did pretty good in their protections in picking up some of the more exotic stuff, the creepers or replacement pressures that Seattle run, but, the 4-man rush, but like pressure scheme stuff. But it just looks like Pete Carroll defense in football, and they had that kind of slow start that they've had other times this season, acclimatizing. Jamal Adams spoke afterwards how, they had to make some adjustments at halftime. We'd be interested to see them. But again, the fact they made adjustments that really kind of nullified what the Cardinals were doing is just big for me. And Doug Baldwin tweeted out after the game, don't sleep on these Seahawks. And, that's after the 3 turnover game, but it's just the way they won this game, the way they grounded it out, and rush and coverage and kind of a suffocating defensive performance, so encouraging. And yeah, who wants to talk about Devin Witherspoon?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about Devin Witherspoon. I mean, he's doing everything, right? He's rushing the quarterback. He's making plays in the secondary. He's, literally snatching the souls out of guys in the flat. Like,
yeah, man.
He's disgusting. He's awesome. And dude, I'm so frustrated for him today because, like, he had a huge sack. He had an interception, which, again, he should have stayed in the end zone, but whatever. And both of them get called back on penalties, soft-ass penalties, too. Yep. Super annoying. But yeah, he's like Jamal in a way, right? Where it's just like he's finding ways to make plays no matter what the situation is on a week-to-week basis. Yeah, it's just like it reminds me a lot of that Jamal game in Atlanta, right? The first Jamal Adams' first game, where he's just like
every week.
It's just like every play he's involved, right? And it's like that's kind of Spoon, right? Like, and he is just punishing dudes right now, like just straight up punishing dudes. Who was that? Michael Wilson or Rondell Moore that he just obliterated? Rondell Moore. Yeah.
And then that poor, he did well to hang on to that, but that poor sod had to then run a running back handoff on the next play. And that's not why he got tackled for loss, but he did get tackled for loss. He must have been absolutely sick of football by that point. And it's funny because that cover 2 hit, that's just him. We saw that in college. And I think I said when we did our breakdown on him, Griff, I think I said something along the lines of, oh, this will be like harder to do in the NFL. Like, you have to be really careful taking your shot here and recognize the opportunity. And he's good at that. But I'd love to see it in the NFL, but maybe. And then lo and behold, he goes and does it, takes his shot. Jamal Adams said they knew the play was coming, and bang, bang, and to do that and not get flagged. Very impressive too, because I really expected flags, crowd reaction going ooh, and then the way that the receiver gets absolutely smacked to the floor. I really thought they'd throw a flag on that, but he clearly got the aiming point right, and his head wasn't involved in the play at all. Just a really, really good play, and the way that energizes the rest of the defense too. They're all absolutely buzzing. Like Brooks started hitting people. Everyone's getting more pumped up. Almost feels like, dreaded momentum word. Feels like the momentum was kind of shifting towards the Cardinals, and then bang, nope. No,
right.
They got a first down on that play, but it's just a kind of just impactful, swaggering play, and I think a big part of the defense, along with Adams' energy returning as well. And it's a shame that Spoon's two big plays, the other two big plays, where I think on the sack he went through the A gap, which is like what they'd do with Jamal Adams, which is cool, or Bobby Wagner. I don't know about that penalty on Reek Woolen. Like it looked like the quarterback we didn't see it synced up with the quarterback, but I'd find it hard to believe the quarterback wasn't out the pocket at that moment, but they said he wasn't.
He bailed really quick.
He bailed suit because he was clean through the A gap, which is the beauty of having Spoon, because they don't expect 21, especially when he's pressed at the line of scrimmage on a slot, to then come through the A gap. Like, no one's looking for that, especially if you're floating around with Jamal Adams on the other side. They're all looking over that way. And then... what was and then the interception, it was such an easy pick for him. So good ball tracking, good recognition in his zone, but that was soft on, like, in terms of letter of the law, it's correct, but intention of Maffei to then jump up and he was trying to play the ball and then ended up his hand landed on the helmet of Dobbs. And unfortunately, really, when Maffei got clean into the backfield on that stunt, he kind of jumped up rather than just going for the contact, because I think he was almost a bit shy after that last play. But Griff, what do you have on Spoon or Maffei or anything else?
Well, the one thing at Spoon is that 1 3rd and 14 early in the game, where it looked like it could have been a pick, where he was upset that he didn't pick it and it ended up being a forced incompletion. So they were in half quarter that game. He was, or that snap, he was the nickel, and they ran a dagger combination. So it was two receivers to that side. The running back, it goes out into the flat. And so the slot runs a seam, and then the outside receiver runs a dig route. He reads, he falls off the seam because he's dropping deep, because Bobby takes the back to the flat. So it's really on him to close off the middle of the field in a way, at least play the vertical hook and the middle hook. So he falls off the seam and reads the outbreaker, and he kills the play, right? He almost gets a pick, but he's all over it. But he didn't do that in college. Like he's playing zone nickel. Like he never did this in college. When he played in when he was in the slot in college, it was in cover one. He was playing man. So he's just, his ability to play things that he's never done before. Again, it just speaks to how natural of a football player he is. He's good at everything. He's good at everything they've asked him to do, and they're asking him to do a lot of different things. It's just incredible, really.
It's like if Jake Bobo played defense, right?
Right.
It's vein,
but it is like having like a second Jamal Adams who can play outside corner.
Yeah, it's a corner version of Jamal.
And having two of those skill sets on your team, it makes your overhand. It makes you so flexible as a defense. Flexible. You can do anything.
And it has like opposing offenses just like constantly in their head.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a lot going on, because Bobby Wagner's still a really effective blitzer too, and Brooks, it has some speed. Like they have, and it's not like Jaron Reed's been bad rushing the pass, and Draymond Jones. Just the vision is very, very clear, as Griff's lovely dogs clearly are excited about the Seahawks dogs.
Brady, come here. Come here.
Oh.
Come here.
Here we go. It's been a while that Brady's been so keen to make himself the star of the show.
Brady has some thoughts on Devin Witherspoon.
Yeah, Brady, come on.
Come here.
We're live, Brady. Does Brady know we're live, Griff?
Brady, we're live.
Yeah, he's trying to make it all about him. Brady, come here.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to jump on my lap right now. Come here,
He's
Brady.
shy.
Come here. Oh, Brady.
He's in hair and makeup.
He needs to go out.
Okay, well, we've done a pretty good podcast, I think, gentlemen.
Yeah.
And dog.
Say so.
Now, Brian very kindly did a donation for Matty's distinguished palate. Thank you so much, Brian. That's very kind. It wasn't intentional. Right, well, that's the podcast. Enjoy the rest of Sunday Night Football.
Brady was saying, Matty, hit it.
Yeah,
Matty hit it. Make sure you follow Ty at Dane Gonzalez. Follow me at Matty F. Brown. Follow Griff at C Mike Spin Move. Make sure you check out Locked On Mariners, where Ty's doing some great off-season podcasting. I heard that the last one was on how the Mariners can sign some guy called Otani. I'm not that familiar with him. Make sure you check out my work at SeahawksOnTape.com. I'm going to have an article on how Pete Carroll's gone back to his roots but blended it with the current stuff, explaining that. 2014 Seahawks tape with 2023 Seahawks tape. And make sure you check out Griff's tweets. And then at Seattle Overload, check out Griff's video on Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams breakdown, and then a Witherspoon breakdown from me. Gonna have to change the title to how Devin Witherspoon can be Rookie of the Year.
Very quick. What is the best NFL theme song? NBC, Fox, CBS, ESPN. Which one has the best theme song? For me, it's Sunday Night Football.
What, like the Carrie
I think I need to hear them all.
No, not the Carrie Underwood. The yeah.
What's the Fox one? Come on, Ty, sing that one.
Oh, now I suddenly forget it. Oh shoot.
Is that it?
Yeah. What is the CBS one? No one knows the CBS one because that's the wrong answer.
Yeah, it's just fart noises.
Yeah.
It's tough because Madden used to have like a really good one, but I can't remember whose it was.
Oh, yeah.
It might have been Madden.
Yeah.
Can someone in the chat, can you phonetically do the CBS one for us, please?
Yeah.
Isn't that jingly? It's really jingly, I think.
Oh wait! I can hear it kind of in my head, and now I've lost it. Now I can't I can hear it in my head, but I can't outwardly.
Oh, is it ba da ba da 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 la? Da, da, da. Oh, that's Fox, I think again.
No, that's still that's.
I'm gonna end up singing Star Wars.
No,
Da, da, da.
I had it for a second, and then I lost it again.
You can get them all on YouTube, and then
right.
We should tier them for the next preamble.
Yeah,
yes. Okay, chat. There you
can
go.
Play them on our phone or another device to get it through to the mic.
So, chat. If Ty is able to make our special guest preview, we could subject our special guest to that preamble. I think they'd be down for that.
There we go.
Remember, next Sunday, Seahawks throwback. So there won't be a podcast because we'll be throwing it back to when we weren't born.
I was alive when they were wearing those uniforms.
Oh yeah,
we were alive when they were wearing those uniforms.
All
of us were alive.
Okay,
that doesn't work.
We'll be
Matty.
throwing it back to when we were 3 years old.
Yeah. We're gonna watch Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, and
banging.
Yeah. And,
so on Star Wars, do you think you know how the prequels to us, because we're growing up with them, were really good?
Yeah.
And then everyone else is they're trash. Are the current generation like, oh my gosh, the Rogue One is the best Star Wars?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't.
No, it's just bad, right?
Well,
yeah, I feel. No,
ahead,
to be fair, I thought Attack of the Clones sucked even when I was a kid. But
really?
I really
Whoa,
liked Phantom Menace.
you were like cultured kid, huh?
But I really liked Phantom Menace, and I still do. Like, it still holds like a
because
special
Darth
place
Maul's
in
in
my
it.
heart. Yeah. Well, yeah.
He's so cool. He's red and black and has horns.
Yeah.
And you look like one of the main characters, Matty.
Right.
I do.
Obi-Wan himself.
I beat Darth Maul, right?
Master, destroy us.
You did. You beat Darth Maul like 5 times in the canon.
That's right. That's right. That's right. You have.
There's just a matchup problem there.
Yeah.
Was Obi-Wan too OP?
No, and that's what makes him such a great character. He was like very good, not great as a Jedi.
Right. He was human.
As a duelist anyway. Like you could
Right.
argue he's the ideal Jedi from a certain angle, from a certain point of view.
Right. What point of view?
You were right about one thing, Matty. The negotiations were short.
I loved Attack of the Clones just because the arena battle, like my second grade brain was like, oh my god, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And I couldn't process anything else. I wasn't paying attention to the dialogue anyway.
All right, best line from the Phantom Menace. There's a lot of quotables.
I'm not very good at I don't really. I'm not good
Master
at.
destroy us.
Mine is negotiations, but we've lost all communications.
Oh no, my favorite was when he's like, that could only mean one thing: invasion.
It's like the base in the invasion too. He's like invasion.
Yeah.
Is that the one? Is Anakin really cold in that one? He's just always cold.
Well, he's a little kid in the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, but doesn't he says something about being cold?
Yeah, like doesn't he meet the Jedi Council
sand?
or something?
You mean a sand quote?
No. There's something about like I'm so cold, or it feels cold, or something
I'm
like
just
that.
cold.
Yeah. I think it's when he's talking to Yoda in the
Right.
in the Jedi Council.
Yeah. He's like, what's up? And he's like, I'm cold.
That's exactly how it goes.
We could do the Star Wars.
Yeah. He's like, Yoda's like, how are you feeling, or something like that. And he's like, cold or something.
Yeah. Banging quote.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
All right. Thank you, chat. Please like the video, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Lots of love.
We love you.
Great.
Have a fun dog walk, Griff.
Will do.
Bye. Oh, I should play the brand thing. Here we go.